It's 3 a.m., you're exhausted, your body is completely done, your eyes are heavy. Every single condition for sleep is met except one. Your brain absolutely will not stop. It's running through a conversation you had 3 days ago. It's replaying something you said in 2019 that you still can't forgive yourself for. It's building worst-case scenarios about things that haven't happened and probably never will. Just lying there, wide awake. It happens every night. Your ceiling staring, wondering why. Why now? Why always now? Why? When the whole world goes quiet, your mind gets the loudest. You've tried everything, breathing exercises, counting backward, telling yourself to just stop thinking. And your brain looked at all of that and said no. So here's what nobody ever tells you about 3 a.m. overthinking. It is not a habit. It is not weakness. It's not even really about the thoughts themselves. It goes much deeper than that. It's a biological response to something much deeper. And once you understand what's actually happening, not just emotionally, but in your nervous system, in your brain chemistry, in the patterns your mind has been quietly building for years, it genuinely changes everything you think you know. Because right now, you believe your brain is working against you at 3 a.m. It isn't. And that single distinction matters more than anything else here, more than any tip. Here's where most people have it completely backwards. They think overthinking at 3 a.m. is their brain malfunctioning, going rogue, breaking down, working against them. It isn't. Your brain at 3 a.m. is doing exactly what it was built to do. It is actively protecting you. The problem is it's using protection mechanisms designed for a completely different world. One where threats were physical, immediate, and standing right in front of your face. Not invisible, not abstract. Your brain has a threat detection system called the amygdala. Its entire job is to scan for danger, flag anything unresolved, and keep you alert until the threat is handled. During the day, that system gets partially suppressed by stimulation, by tasks, by the constant noise of being alive and busy. You give your brain somewhere to direct all that energy, problems to solve, people to respond to, things to do, and it stays occupied, manageable, quiet. But at night, when the noise disappears and every distraction finally falls away, the amygdala gets full, uninterrupted control. And it starts doing its job, scanning, flagging, reviewing everything. Every unresolved conflict, every unanswered question, every uncomfortable feeling you didn't fully process during the day. It pulls them all up and hands them to you like a heavy stack of files it has been patiently waiting all day to finally go through. And here's the part that makes it so much worse. When you're tired, the prefrontal cortex, the rational problem-solving part of your brain, is running on empty. It doesn't have the resources to resolve any of those files. So your amygdala keeps cycling through them, over and over again, looking for a resolution that your exhausted brain simply cannot provide. That loop, threat detected, no resolution, repeat. That is exactly what 3 a.m. overthinking is. Notice how 3 a.m. never brings up neutral thoughts. It never wakes you up thinking about breakfast or a pleasant memory or something genuinely unimportant. It goes straight for the things that already hurt, the relationship that's strained, the career decision you're unsure about, the version of yourself you're quietly afraid you might actually be. That is not random. That is your brain's negativity bias running at full, completely unfiltered volume. The negativity bias is one of the most studied phenomena in all of neuroscience. Your brain is wired to weight negative information more heavily than positive. It processes threats faster. It remembers failures longer. It returns to unresolved, painful experiences far more readily than pleasant ones. This was useful once when threats were physical, when the danger was a predator, not a passive-aggressive text from someone you care about. The brain doesn't know the difference. But your brain cannot tell the difference between a physical threat and an emotional one. It processes both in exactly the same way every single time. The argument with your partner, the thing your boss said, the friendship that's slowly drifting. Your brain treats all of it with the same urgency as survival itself. And at 3 a.m., with no distractions and a depleted prefrontal cortex, that urgency takes over completely and without any mercy. Every single night. The thoughts that surface at 3 a.m. are not random at all. They're the ones your brain has flagged as unresolved threats, the ones you pushed down during the day, the ones you avoided, minimized, or didn't fully face when you actually had the energy to deal with them. 3 a.m. is when the bill finally comes due. Every single night, your brain presents you with the exact emotional debt you've been quietly accumulating and consistently refusing to acknowledge. This is the part most people do not want to hear. The reason 3 a.m. thoughts keep coming back, the reason the same ones cycle on repeat night after night, is not because you cannot think your way through them. It is because thinking is not what they actually need. Most 3 a.m. thoughts are not intellectual problems at all. They are emotional ones wearing intellectual clothing. And that difference changes absolutely everything about how you handle them. That one thing. The anxiety about money isn't really about the math. It's about fear. Fear of instability. Fear of not being enough. Fear of what it would say about you if everything fell apart. The replaying of old conversations isn't about finding the right thing you should have said. It's really about shame. About the version of yourself that said the wrong thing and still hasn't been fully forgiven, not by anyone else, but entirely and only by yourself. That is the real source. Your brain keeps pulling these files up because it's desperately trying to resolve them through analysis. But analysis cannot ever resolve an emotion. You can think about fear all night long and still not feel less afraid. You can dissect shame from every possible angle and still not feel less ashamed. Emotions don't get resolved by being understood. They only get resolved by being felt, actually, fully, without immediately trying to escape them. And that is exactly what most overthinkers are best at avoiding. Because thinking feels productive. It feels like you're actively doing something useful. It feels like if you just turn it over one more time, find the right angle, reach the right conclusion, you'll finally feel okay. You won't. Not that way. The loop continues not because you haven't thought hard enough, but because you haven't stopped long enough to feel what's underneath. That's where it lives. If 3 a.m. overthinking happens to you regularly, not occasionally but consistently, like absolute clockwork, it's not bad luck. It is a signal. Chronic nighttime overthinking is one of the clearest signs of a nervous system that is chronically dysregulated, meaning your body's stress response is stuck in low-level activation. Not full panic, but never fully at rest either. Cortisol slightly elevated. Amygdala always quietly, persistently on. It never fully stands down. This doesn't just happen to anxious people. It happens to people under sustained pressure. People who have learned to suppress their emotional responses during the day just to function, to keep going, keep performing, keep holding everything together, and then collapse into unprocessed feeling the moment their guard comes down. The high achiever who handles everything at work and falls apart alone at midnight. That person is not broken. That person is exhausted. The person who seems completely fine to everyone around them and lies awake for hours in the dark. The one who is by every external measure handling it and internally hasn't stopped drowning for months. 3 a.m. isn't when your mind breaks down. It's when it finally tells you the whole truth about what has been quietly building underneath the surface all along. It is not your enemy. It is the most honest version of you. It only comes out in the dark. Not breathing exercises, not counting sheep, not telling yourself to stop thinking. Here's what research actually supports and what genuinely works on the specific mechanisms causing the problem. Write it down. All of it. Not a polished journal entry. Not structured reflection. Just whatever is in your head, unfiltered, raw, without trying to make it make sense. Psychologist James Pennebaker spent decades studying exactly this kind of expressive writing. He found that putting unprocessed thoughts and feelings into words, even privately, even badly, significantly reduces the emotional charge those thoughts carry. Your brain stops cycling through them because they've been externalized. They exist somewhere outside your head now. The file has been opened. That is enough. Your brain doesn't need full resolution at 3 a.m. It just needs to know the thought has been received and acknowledged somewhere real. Stop trying to solve it at night. The moment you catch yourself trying to think your way to resolution at 3 a.m., recognize it for exactly what it is, a trap. Your brain is completely depleted. You genuinely cannot solve real problems at 3 a.m. Any conclusion you reach at that hour will feel entirely different in the daylight. The goal at 3 a.m. is not resolution. The goal is discharge. Getting the energy out without feeding it more fuel than it has. That's the only goal. Feel it instead of analyzing it. When the anxiety rises, instead of immediately trying to identify what you're anxious about, locate where you feel it physically in your body. Chest, stomach, throat. Breathe directly and deliberately into that specific place. This is not mysticism. This is literally how the nervous system works. You're activating the parasympathetic response, the brake on your stress system, by moving attention out of your head. That's how you stop the loop. Look honestly at what you are not facing during the day. Because if the same themes keep showing up at 3 a.m., they are not there by accident at all. They are the things you have been actively avoiding, the conversation you need to have, the decision you keep deferring, the feeling you push back down every time it surfaces. Your 3 a.m. thoughts are not your enemy. They are a brutally honest map showing you exactly where you need to go, when you have the light to go there. 3 a.m. is brutal. There is absolutely no way around that fact at all. But it is not arbitrary. It is not your brain failing you. It is not proof that something is fundamentally broken inside you. It is your mind, exhausted, unguarded, finally running out of ways to keep the lid on, getting completely honest about what you're carrying, about what you've been avoiding, about the gap between who you show the world and who lies awake in the dark. That gap is real, and it is yours. That gap is where 3 a.m. lives, and the only way to close it, not manage it, not merely cope with it, but actually close it for good, is to start being as honest with yourself in the daylight as your brain forces you to be at night. Stop waiting for the thoughts to stop. Start listening to what they're actually trying to tell you. The thoughts at 3 a.m. are not the problem. They are the symptom. The real work begins when you have the light. Start there. That's where everything changes.